let's talk about the plan. Okay, so these two they're like brand new. They came in the box, never been opened or run or anything. So what are we going to do to these? Well, the first thing to note is, being DD40s, they were a proposed locomotive that doesn't really exist. So the only thing we got to go by really is what both Southern Pacific and Union Pacific did with their DD35s. Now, as far as I can tell, Southern Pacific only had DD35B units, and I'm going to show you one right here. There's a DD35B unit I got off railpictures.net. And so basically, a DD35 is a pair of GP35s with these 4-axle trucks. So a DD40, in theory, is a pair of GP40s with 4-axle trucks. And the DD40AX, the Centennial that Union Pacific had, is a pair of like GP40-2s. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to do this. These guys, we're going to try to make them as if the railroads actually had a pair of DD, or UP and SP had a DD40. All right, so let's look at some clues and see what we got to do here. So let's look at the B unit again. Okay, now here's one of the Southern Pacific ones, and as far as I can tell, they only had 3 of them. First thing I want to note is that you saw our underframes are black. This is the cleanest picture I can find, and you can see here that the fuel tank, air tank, and the trucks are all the same color gray as the shell. Also note that UP and SP gray are not the same gray. The UP one is lighter. All right, so what we see here is these trucks look pretty clean. And take a look at this fuel tank over here. Now, I'm guessing that this corrosion is based on the fact that definitely looks like a battery box to me, and maybe some battery acid or something. Now, on the ones we have here, battery box ain't located there. But we're going to have to make the trucks and the tanks, they all got to be this dark gray color to start with. Now, take a look at, there's a bleaching effect on this. See how the gray is kind of bleached? We could do that, but I want to make these should be a little bit closer to being brand new, but been out on the road just a little bit. So they won't be so bad. This one here, based on how clean that truck is, it's been out for a little while, and wow, that got bleached real fast on the side. Okay, now take a look at the grills. Here you can see a good one, but as you can see, the grills are really, they're basically black, and the way we handle that on here is we'll put black Tamiya panel liner on all the grills, and inside these, and inside the exhaust on both of these two. That's how we're going to start with that. And then I think we will get to doing a little tiny bit of dry brushing. Same with the UP one. We're going to do panel liner just on that stuff. We're not going to panel line the whole thing though. Not going to do that. What we want to do is, let's go back up here and let's take a look at another picture. There it is again, a little bit more bleached, and take a look at them fuel tanks on this one. The fuel tanks are kind of bleaching out right there. And I'm not sure about that, but that might be an effect that we want to do, because it's probably a pretty easy effect. But now let's take a look at that red end. Now, if you could see this right, it's kind of dirty. And I'm thinking right off the bat, Citadel Null and Oil would give us this effect if we wanted to do it. Here's another thing to note. Handrails are all red. End is red. The light bracket is also red. And you know how we like to paint those chrome all the time. This time we don't do that. Also note, the handrails themselves have white ends on this one. I'm going to show you why that's important Let's take a look at another one. This UP's got white handrails on the end. Now take a look. So we're going to have to do gray on his underframe and his fuel tanks. And should have those silver trucks that they like, but they're really, really kind of muted. So I think what we'll do is we'll paint them the silver, and then we will just straight up dull coat them. Oops, and then we'll do these bearings. And I got another picture that shows the inside of these are red. So we'll want to paint these bearings with like sewer paint, but have the whole thing silver. And then these things keep getting dirtier and dirtier. Here's a pretty good one. It's still pretty clean, but see the little bit of brown wash there? And check out the fuel tanks and the air tank. So the air tank is kind of, it's like sort of bleached out a little bit, and it's kind of got this brown, dusty coat. And look at the fuel tanks then. They've definitely got all these streaking effects, black streaking effects, and almost white streaking effects with a little touch of brown in there. But again, all the grills need to be panel lined for sure. We're doing this like it was a puzzle, and we're going to put the pieces together a little at a time. Here's another one, and now this one has a ton of fuel oil that's dripped over, streaking down the sides. And then there's some little bit of at the bottom, a little bit of like dirty stuff. This one shows this sunshade. Now, I saw this on another one too, these fold out sunshades. Okay, the armrest, gray, we'll do that. Notice that the headlamps are not silver, they are gray, because we got to put in lights in this, and we're going to go ahead and put in probably fiber optics. And ours has a nose light. So I think the nose light is just going to get just a touch of a silver ring, but it's going to stay yellow. And we'll panel line that so it sticks out. But otherwise, it's got to be yellow. And then we'll do some little panel lining around. All right, let's check out. Here we can see again the bleaching effect. And we got some bleaching effect around the top. And especially if you go back a ways in these. And these are all on railpictures.net, and you see some bleaching effect, and it gets dirty and dirty. We don't want to make it dirty like that. Now, here's an interesting one. This is what I was going to say about this one. Does not have the white handrails. Now, since ours is a DD40, which is only theoretical, we're going to do the white handrail edges on ours. Look at all the fuel oil on those. It's quite a lot. And look at that. That's a lot of fuel and a lot of dirty. This one's pretty dirty. We're not going to make it dirty like that. We're going to keep them a little bit cleaner, but take note that you can see the outlines of all of the doors on the hood. So I'm thinking we are going to have to do something. If we panel line that with straight up Tamiya panel liner, those things will be ridiculously dark. So I don't think we want to quite do that. So we're going to find something a little bit. I think we're going to use something that's really quite transparent, and we'll see how the Nullen oil works. But that's the plan, is we're going to build this like a puzzle, and the way we're going to start out is we're going to do the things that are obvious first. One, we got to paint them trucks silver on this. We got to take this guy and make his trucks this gray and his underframe this gray. We got to make his underframe this gray. Then the silver trucks, gray trucks, and then the panel lining. Once we get to there, then we can start developing more of a plan. But that's our tentative plan, is to do the easy part first. We'll paint the little guy here, the armrest on these gray. We're probably going to do an oyster tin sunshade. That rollout sunshade, we're not gonna try to replicate that. We're gonna try to do the oyster tin sunshade, but that's where we're gonna go with this. And we'll get the handrails set up and get them primered gray, and then we have to paint them. We got two different grays we're dealing with, and we can handle it. That's where we're going from here.